Hi guys, welcome to week 5 of the Akanksha Chess Initiative. This week, we're going to be learning about the value of pieces and why one piece is more valuable than another, and how you should consider that information in the trades. So, these are just like normal values you should remember. So, pawn is 1 point, bishop 3 point, 3 point, knight 3 point, rook 5 point, queen 9 point, and king will get a later. Okay. These are the 5 values you have to remember. Pawn is 1, bishop is 3, knight is 3, rook is 5, queen is 9. So, why is this important? Is because you can use this information to choose like what is more valuable, right? If the rook is stronger than the bishop, like look at this position, right? Okay, rook is equals to 5 points. Bishop is equals to 3 points. So if rook is equals to 5 points and bishop is equals to 3 points, should we sacrifice the rook for the bishop? No, you shouldn't, because rook is 5 and bishop is 3 and 5 is bigger than 3, right? So what are points? So 1 point is like equal to 1 pawn, right? So bishop is worth 3 pawns, knight is worth 3 pawns, and rook is worth 5 pawns, and queen is worth 9 pawns, but there aren't 9 pawns, but that's what we call it, whatever, right? Which means, okay, look at this scenario, right? Same thing, but instead of the bishop, there's a queen. So should we sacrifice our rook, which is 5 pawns, for the queen, which is 9 pawns? Yes, you should, sorry. Yes, you should, because 5 is less than 9, right? So this like number evaluation system can help us determine what piece is more valuable, and like it makes some level of sense because bishop is equally valuable to the knight because it can only cover so many squares. It's like the same thing. Its mobility is like the places it can move is equal to the knight roughly, right? Because most positions the bishop is in like a spot like this, where there's like roughly 8 good squares, and if the knight is active, you also have 8 good squares, right? So sorry, knight and bishop are roughly equally valuable. Some people like to say that a bishop is more valuable in the end game, but it's roughly the same. Pawn is worth 1, but now the interesting part is when the pawn promotes to say a queen, now this queen is still worth 9 pawns, 9 points, whatever, right? So yeah, yeah. Pawn is 1, bishop is 3, knight is 3, and if knight and bishop are 3, that means they're both equally like valuable. So if you trade one of them for another, it's not a big deal. It's like the same thing. Rook is 5, right? So now let's look at an example of 2 rooks. For actually, before let's look at this, right? So this is a normal game. We covered like openings last week. Covered like normal opening principles. This is a very simple game. You bring out your pieces. Now, black plays a move that's not very good, but it's okay. Like, you want to bring your bishop out, but you move this pawn, now your bishop is stuck. You can't get your bishop out, which is annoying. But it's not a big deal, it's fine. But now, say white, अगर white knight को खा लेता है, for example, uh, is this good? Like, is this good for white's bishop to take the knight? It's okay. It's not very good. It's not very bad. It's fine. ठीक है. Uh, it's okay. Let's look at this position. This is interesting. Now, queen is worth how much? 9 points. Rook is worth 5 points. One more rook is worth 5 points. So if queen will capture this rook, then this rook captures this rook, this queen, and this rook captures this rook. Then we got two rooks, right? 2 times 5, 10. So we got 10 points of material, and we gave away 9 points of material, right? Because queen is 9. So this is a good trade. It's a good trade. It's good. It's good that we did that. But it's not always good. Don't think that, oh, I can just take the piece and then everything's very good. Say this was the position. This is an equal position, roughly. In terms of material, this is equal. Okay? Materially, this is equal. But if you get greedy and say, oh, look, queen is worth 9 points. Rook worth 5 points. I capture queen. I see queen, I capture queen. No, that's bad, because now rook comes and checkmates the king. And if it's checkmate, game is over. So let's go back to the question, how many points is the king worth? King is worth essentially infinite points, because king is the only thing that matters, actually. Like, if you can kill the opponent king and you sacrifice all your pieces except your king, it's a good trade. Because if you have a king, you can play. If you don't have a king, you lose. It's just game over. That's all that matters. So we got the queen, but we lost the king. Not a good trade. And just to prove to you this point, I'm going to show you, this is called a smothered mate. Smothered mate, okay? When the king gets, like, checkmated because it is covered by its own pieces. So in this position, white can play the very nice move, knight to h6. Double check on the king, right? A few weeks ago, maybe last week, we talked about the 3 things black or a king can do when it's in check. So if I put the king in check right now, it's threatened to be captured by the knight, and is threatened to be captured by the queen. So the king, what are the 3 things? I want you to think, maybe try to remember the 3 things. I'll give you guys like 30 seconds. Three things are: capture the checking piece, block the checking piece, or run. But the problem with a double check is, you cannot capture 2 pieces in one turn. You only have 1 turn. You can't capture 2 pieces in 1 turn. How am I going to capture the queen and the knight? Ek turn may not possible in 1 turn. How you going to capture 2 pieces? Not possible. Okay. How about block? Can we block 2 pieces? Can't block 2 pieces. Not possible. So the king has to run. Now king can run to 2 spots. King can run to f8, or king can run to h8. If king runs to f8, this is checkmate. King cannot take queen because queen is supported by knight. King has nowhere to go, and king is in check. Excellent. What if king goes to h8? And by the way, we're going to cover this checkmate again later. But this is like the premise, right? What if king runs to h8? Then we have this beautiful move, amazing, great move, queen to g8. The queen is protected by the knight, so the king cannot take the queen. But the rook can take the queen. Now black just got a queen, right? Queen is worth 9 points. Black got queen for like nothing, right? Now say white takes this rook. Black is winning. Black has 2 pawns, white has 0 pawns. Black just won a queen and a knight for just a rook. 5 pawns, 5 points of material for 12 points of material. Great trade, right? But so far black has won 9 points. What if white, instead of capturing the rook, goes knight to f7, checkmate. The black king is in check, and it cannot escape because it is covered, surrounded by its own pieces. The rook pawn, the black pawns cover the black king so that it cannot move. It's checkmate. I can show you another example like this, where you can sacrifice material. Right now, say this light squared black bishop is here. Okay. Now, white can play queen to c2. This is a sacrifice of a queen. Okay. If black takes this queen though, free 9 points, black is in checkmate. Because bishop to b5, again, double check, right? And we're going to cover this again in a few weeks, don't worry. But double check by the rook and the bishop. This is called anesthesia's mate. Okay? You cannot capture this bishop and the rook in the same turn. Say we block this. We're not even allowed to block this because that's not how chess works. But say you're allowed to block this. You can't do that in chess, but it's an illegal move. But if you can block this, then this white rook will just capture the king. Game over. Okay? You can't block this. What if you block the rook? If you block the rook, then the white bishop will come and capture the king. So it doesn't work. Can't block, right? I already told you guys, can't block. Can't capture both pieces in one turn. दोनों पीस नहीं कैप्चर कर सकते हो. How are you going to capture both pieces? One turn. So then you have to run. And when you run, this is called anesthesia's checkmate. Because the king is in checkmate, cannot capture the rook because the rook is supported by bishop. Checkmate. Okay, guys. Good lesson today. Please do your homework. Only a few students have done their homework so far for some reason. Have a great day. Bye.